Upton Sinclair, The Jungle, and Upton Sinclair Trilogy. Enter the tumultuous world of The Jungle, as author Upton Sinclair deftly unveils the harsh realities of the early 20th century American immigrant experience. Follow the trials and tribulations of Jurgis and his family as they journey from Lithuania to the stockyards of Chicago, hoping for a better life. Immerse yourself in the gripping narrative that exposes the relentless exploitation, gruesome working conditions, and widespread corruption that permeate the meatpacking industry. This riveting account serves as a stark reminder of the importance of workers' rights, unions, and the role immigrants play in shaping America.
Jurgis' American Dream. Jurgis and his family emigrate to America from Lithuania with dreams of a bright future. However, their journey is harsh, and the realities of life in the Chicago stockyards hit them hard. While Jurgis stands out with his strength and determination to succeed, the family faces challenges, including poor treatment and losing money on their passage to New York. Despite the hardships, Jurgis lands a job with a meat-packing company and marvels at the efficiency of the business. The scene is not for the faint-hearted, with live animals getting hooked up to a massive iron wheel dotted with rings as men slit their throats. The brutal reality of the meatpacking industry. Jurgis and his family move to Packing Town in pursuit of better jobs and the American dream, but they soon discover the treacherous and corrupt conditions of the meatpacking industry. Despite the backbreaking work and horrific conditions, Jurgis refuses to join a union, believing he can provide for himself. Corruption is rampant, as the relentless toil maims and sickens workers, while the unhygienic food conditions are horrifying. Antanas finds employment under the condition of handing over a third of his wages to a petty grifter in charge. Ona and Stanislavas are forced to work to pay off the balance of their swindled house at a high interest rate, or risk losing it. The same deceitful scheme had evicted 3 families before them. Struggles of the working class. Jurgis and Ona were finally able to get married after a long, hard summer. However, they had to take on more debt to pay for the wedding, as their guests refused to contribute. Their house was infested with vermin and difficult to heat, leading to illnesses. Old Antanas died from his declining health. Maria lost her job and struggled to find work. Jurgis joined a union to improve the condition of workers, while Ona and her colleagues faced mistreatment from their bosses. Ona had to return to work shortly after giving birth, causing chronic wound troubles. The Agony of Misfortunes. Winter encroaches and exacerbates Jurgis' misery. He is forced to stay home following an ankle injury, and his younger brother loses the use of 3 fingers due to frostbite. The family is plagued by a series of unfortunate events, including job loss, death, and illness. Jurgis finds work in a fertilizer plant, a job that makes him smell so bad that people leave the streetcar as soon as he enters it. Despite the difficulties, the family manages to scrape by. Unfortunately, Ona, Jurgis' wife, becomes ill, pregnant, and is tormented by her employer Phil. She resorts to prostitution to support the family, but Jurgis finds out and attacks Phil in a fit of rage. The police apprehend him, and their future seems bleak. Jurgis' struggle for survival. Jurgis, the protagonist, stays in jail for a week and befriends the expert safebreaker Jack Duane. After a brief and unfair trial, Jurgis is sentenced to 30 days in jail plus court costs, and his family's dreadful condition is revealed to him. Upon his release, he finds out that his family has lost everything they invested, including their health and hopes. Jurgis is devastated to discover that Ona and the baby have died, and he gets drunk. He job hunts again, landing a good-paying job in an agricultural machinery plant. However, his department closes down, and he's unemployed again. As winter intensifies, Jurgis struggles to find food for his family, and his young son dies from drowning. Ultimately, he lands a job at a steelwork in South Chicago, bringing some relief to his family. In The Jungle, Jurgis endures unspeakable horrors that leave him fighting for survival. His world crumbles when he discovers that his family has lost everything, from their hopes and health to their home and job security. Despite his tough life, Jurgis still finds solace in friendship, such as his bond with safebreaker Jack. As he bounces from one job to another, with his department closing down and facing unemployment, Jurgis almost loses hope. The winter, which intensifies his battle for survival and forces his young son to succumb to drowning, beats him down. But he picks himself back up and lands a job in a steelwork, bringing some solace to his suffering family. Without giving in to despair or losing sight of his goal, Jurgis persists in his fight for survival, and the book depicts a heartbreaking tale of struggle and perseverance. The tragic life of Jurgis. Jurgis leaves Chicago and survives in the countryside with tramps while indulging in vices. He returns to Chicago and meets a man who gives him $100 bill but is kicked out of his house. Jurgis is then robbed of the bill and gets arrested after starting a fight. Jurgis' descent into corruption. After serving his time in prison, Jurgis reunites with old acquaintance Jack Duane and becomes a participant in Chicago's corrupt underworld. He discovers the rampant graft and corruption in every aspect of society, including business, politics, and law enforcement. Jurgis grows tired of his unscrupulous lifestyle and decides to work for a Democratic boss, Mike Scully, and help campaign for a fake Republican candidate to prevent socialists from gaining power. This leads to Jurgis becoming a strikebreaker, making even more money, and eventually becoming a foreman in the stockyards. As tensions rise and more strikes occur, the companies bring in workers from all over the country, leading to chaos and debauchery. Jurgis' path to socialism. Jurgis faces new struggles but finds hope in socialism. Jurgis sees no end to his life of misery, so he turns to alcohol once more. During one of his benders, he attacks his old enemy Phil Connor. He is arrested and must spend his savings on bail. Homeless and desperate, Jurgis turns to begging once again. But hope arises when he is reunited with an old acquaintance, Elena Gisaitite, who tells him where to find Maria. Unfortunately, he is caught up in a police raid while looking for her. Jurgis finally locates Maria, who has fallen into a life of drugs and drinking due to her work in a brothel. Despite Jurgis' desire to get her out of this life and quit drinking, Maria believes she is past redemption. As he wanders the streets looking for work, Jurgis stumbles upon a socialist meeting where he meets Ostrinsky. This brief encounter leads to an extensive education on socialism that Jurgis uses to start advocating it to others. Jurgis is offered a job by Tommy Hines, a hotel owner who is also a socialist. But even with this newfound stability, Jurgis' dedication to socialism and his desire to help others continues to grow. A wealthy socialist named Fisher invites Jurgis to a panel where professors discuss the advantages of socialism. The socialists' election victory and the support of 50,000 people convince Jurgis that they have a chance of achieving their goals. Through his struggles with addiction and desperation, Jurgis finds hope in socialism. He is determined to spread its message and fight for a better way of life. If he had discovered socialism earlier, Jurgis believes his life would not have been so bleak.
In The Jungle, Upton Sinclair has masterfully painted a picture that captures the brutalities and injustices faced by immigrants during the early 20th century in America. Despite the relentless suffering of Jurgis and his family, their story imparts valuable lessons about perseverance, hope, and the power of unity. As Sinclair exposes the grotesque realities of the meatpacking industry and the systemic corruption rampant in the era, he leaves readers pondering the urgent need for workers' rights, improved industry regulations, and the strength of the human spirit to continue fighting for a better, fairer world.